Hey everyone, and welcome back to our Scary Stories podcast. For those who don't know us yet, we are Lisa and Valentine, and we absolutely love scary stories. Stories with paranormal activities, and basically everything that you should not listen to if you want to sleep well that night.
Yeah, and like Lisa said, we're all about those stories that'll keep you up at night, you know? The ones that make you want to double check your locks and maybe sleep with the lights on.
Oh yes, and tonight we've got something that'll definitely make you think twice about exploring abandoned buildings.
I can already tell this is going to be good. Like, really good.
So, I've got something super creepy to share with you today, Val. It's actually a story that a friend of mine told me, like, a few years ago, and the way he told it to me, I've never seen someone so shaken up.
Oh man, was it that intense?
Yeah, it really was. His hands were literally trembling when he was telling me about it. And, you know how some people tell ghost stories and you can tell they're just making stuff up? This wasn't like that at all.
Yeah, I totally know what you mean. When someone's really experienced something, you can just tell, right?
Exactly. So, my friend and his group, they were kind of like amateur ghost hunters. Not professional or anything, just, doing it for fun.
Oh, those are honestly, the best stories because they're just normal people, you know? Not trying to make a show or anything.
Right. And they'd been to quite a few places before this, caught some weird voices on tape, got these strange shadows on camera. Nothing that really freaked them out, though. But then they decided to check out this abandoned school and, well...
Oh no, I'm already getting chills. Abandoned schools are they're just something else, aren't they?
Trust me, what happened there, it's pretty intense. It completely changed how they felt about their whole ghost hunting hobby. So, this school they went to, it was in this tiny town, one of those places that just feels forgotten. And, the building itself was just absolutely terrifying.
How bad are we talking here?
Oh man, there were these really creepy vines just growing all over the walls, and they were crumbling, and the windows were just, they looked like these empty eyes staring at you.
That's honestly so creepy, I can totally picture it right now.
And here's the thing. The locals, they kept telling them to stay away. But you know how that goes, right? It just made them want to check it out even more.
Oh yeah, that's basically an invitation for ghost hunters.
Exactly. And they'd actually done their research before going in. There were all these YouTube videos about it and these stories online about this boy who...
Wait, what boy? What happened?
So apparently, and this is really dark, there was this kid who was bullied so badly that he died. And the story goes that his body was actually hidden under the bathroom floor.
Oh my God, that's absolutely horrible. Genuinely horrible.
Yeah, and people say that if you listen really carefully, you can still hear him crying in there.
That's just devastating. And they actually went in there?
Yeah, they did. So they actually had this whole setup planned. They went in just before midnight with all their equipment, cameras, motion sensors, voice recorders, everything.
Like proper ghost hunters, right?
Totally, but what they found inside was even worse than what it looked like from outside. There were ceiling tiles just scattered everywhere, desks turned over, and this really creepy graffiti all over the walls. And the smell, oh my God, the smell was just, it was like this thick, moldy, you could barely breathe. So they started exploring, going through all these different areas, and they checked out some classrooms, the gym, and then they decided to head down to the basement.
Oh no, why would they go to the basement? That's like horror movie 101, right?
I know, and get this. It wasn't just any part of the basement. It was the boiler room.
The boiler room? Of course it was the boiler room.
Yeah, and there were all these stories about that specific room. People said that's where it lived. Not just the boy, but something else. Something way darker.
Something darker? What do you mean?
Well, at first they were all trying to, laugh it off. And this guy, Eric, he actually started making fun of whatever was there. He was saying stuff like how weak it must be if this was all it had left.
Oh man, that's never a good idea.
Right? And everyone else was kind of nervously laughing, but Mark, the new guy they brought along, he wasn't laughing at all. He kept, looking over his shoulder and stuff.
I mean, I don't blame him. New place, creepy basement.
So they went back upstairs and, they split up into groups. Two of them were in this classroom with a spirit box, and Mark was in the hallway with someone else, and that's when it started.
What started?
Mark, he saw something. Like, not directly, but he saw movement. There was this shadow at the end of the hallway, near where the floor had collapsed by this old stairwell. He said it was like something peeked its head around the corner for just a second.
No way.
And when he told the others about it, they were all like, "Oh, it's just your mind playing tricks," or "It's probably just the light." But Mark was absolutely sure about what he saw, and then they all heard it.
Heard what?
A laugh, like a child's laugh, just echoing down the hallway, and everyone just froze. Nobody moved, nobody even breathed. It was just this high-pitched laugh coming from somewhere in the darkness. And that's when things got really, really intense. Like, one of them, Eric, the same guy who'd been mocking the spirit earlier, he started walking towards the classroom where they thought the laugh came from, and
What happened?
the floor it just gave way under him. Like, completely collapsed. There was this awful cracking sound, and if his friend hadn't grabbed him at the last second, he would have fallen straight through. It was terrifying.
Oh my God, that's insane. Did they leave after that?
No, and that's the crazy part. They were all shaken up, but they decided to keep going. They went to the gym, and they had these dowsing rods with them, you know?
Yeah, those metal L-shaped things that ghost hunters use, right?
Exactly. And they started asking questions, and the rods, they just kept pointing at Eric, like directly at him. The same guy who'd nearly fallen through the floor, who'd been making fun of everything earlier.
That's really freaky.
Yeah, and when they asked if whatever was there was angry with Eric, the rods just stopped moving, like completely stopped. And that's when everything just changed.
Changed how?
The air got really heavy, like you could barely breathe, and it was so quiet, but not like normal quiet. It was like the world had been put on mute or something, and then the sounds started.
What kind of sounds?
All kinds. Like, there were footsteps in the halls, and these whispers that you couldn't quite make out, and this horrible sound of metal scraping against the floor, like desks being dragged around. But the worst part was the knocking.
No.
Yeah, and it wasn't just coming from one place. It was everywhere. The walls, the ceiling, under the floor, just boom, 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 getting louder and louder until the whole building was shaking. And that's when everyone just completely lost it. They grabbed their equipment and started running, like as fast as they could towards the exit. But when they got to the front doors, something happened.
What? What happened?
The temperature just dropped, like instantly. I mean, they could see their breath in front of them, and it was summer, you know? And then
Oh man, I can feel where this is going.
they heard it. A voice, but it wasn't coming from anywhere specific. It was like it was right there between all of them. Just this whisper that said go.
Just go? That's it?
Yeah, and like, you know how sometimes one word can be scarier than a whole sentence? This was exactly like that. And they didn't need to be told twice. They just ran. Like, they didn't even think about it. They just bolted out of there, running until they couldn't breathe anymore, until they got to their cars, until that school was just this dark shape behind them.
Wow. I mean, wow. Did anyone ever go back?
No way. Like, Mark, he never even talked about it again. And Eric, you know, the one who'd been making all those jokes, he completely stopped. Like, wouldn't even mention anything paranormal after that. Just completely done with it.
And the school? Is it still?
Yeah, it's still there. Just sitting there, you know, just waiting. And like, the thing that gets me is how my friend told me this story. His hands were shaking the whole time, and his voice was just, you could tell he wasn't making it up. You could tell this really, really happened to them.
Man, that's absolutely terrifying. And you know what really gets to me? The fact that, like, This isn't some ancient castle or like some old cemetery. This is just a school, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And it makes you wonder how many other places like this are out there, just sitting there with their own dark histories.
And the way it seemed to specifically target Eric after he, after he kind of mocked whatever was there, like, that's not random, right? That's deliberate.
I was thinking the same thing. The floor literally collapsed right where he was standing, and then those dowsing rods pointing right at him.
It's like whatever was there was intelligent enough to actually respond to what they were saying and doing. And that's what makes it so much more frightening, you know what I mean?
The whole thing just gives me chills, especially that final whisper. Like, why tell them to go? Why not just, I don't know, do whatever it was planning to do?
Maybe. Maybe it was actually warning them. Like maybe there was something even worse that was about to happen if they didn't leave right then and there. That's actually even more terrifying when you think about it.
Oh God, I hadn't even considered that. That's actually making this whole thing even creepier.
And you know what else? The fact that these were experienced paranormal investigators who just completely gave up after this. Like something really serious must have happened to make them stop completely.
Well, everyone, that's all we have for you today on Scary Stories Podcast. Thank you so much for listening to this absolutely terrifying story.
Yeah, and we really hope you enjoyed it as much as we did sharing it with you. Like, these are the kind of stories that just stick with you, you know what I mean?
They really do. Make sure to join us next time for another spine-chilling tale that'll probably keep you up at night.
And don't forget to check out our other episodes if you're new here. We've got tons of stories that are just as creepy as this one.
Until next time, everyone, sweet dreams. If you can still sleep after this one,
Yeah, maybe leave a light on tonight, just to be safe.